Most NFL fans know a certain player in their team who always comes to play, makes the most out of every opportunity given, yet the media doesn't even care. So today we're taking a look at the most underrated player of your favorite NFL team. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribing since it's free and it really helps a lot. Anyways, we start with the Buffalo Bills. On a team such as the Bills, it's hard to find an underrated player, but that's when Devin Singletary appears. Overall, he's well known around the league, but since the Bills offense is mainly built around Josh Allen, people tend to overlook Singletary. He averages 4.5 yards per carry as of now, which is great, and honestly, he's been able to do the work we needed. Moving on, we have the Ravens. 2019 MVP Lamar Jackson hasn't made a lot of noise recently, but he has been getting the hate. He has proven to be a good quarterback in the NFL, and aside from injuries, he could easily fit in the top 10 conversation. Yet, people think he's only good because of his rushing abilities. Sad for him. For the Eagles, we have the first tight end of the day in Dallas Goedert. He showcased his talent against the Texans, but he's been playing great ball in Philly, yet not a lot of people give him credit. At least not enough. And on top of that, he plays on an offensive scheme which relies more on the run than on the pass. Anyways, up next, we have yet another tight end in Gerald Everett. The Chargers tight end has been quietly playing quite good this season. People might overlook him due to the stacked LA offense featuring Herbert, Eckler, and Allen, but Chargers fans will tell you, Everett is clearly underrated. Then we have the Falcons. My guy AJ Terrell has been underrated for his entire career, even though it hasn't been that long. By the end of last year, he started getting a little bit of recognition, but once again in 2022, he's been the entire season under the radar. On to Pittsburgh, we have rookie Kenny Pickett. When you take a look at his stats, they look horrendous. And that's probably why a lot of analysts call Pickett a bust or a bad quarterback. But when we actually watch the tape, we can see Pickett has made some great throws, and despite having his fair share of mistakes, some of them weren't even his fault. And speaking of Pittsburgh, we now have former Steeler Juju Smith-Schuster for the Chiefs. When Tyreek Hill left, everyone thought Mahomes was a lone rider with only Kelsey to help him. However, Juju and Mahomes are starting to get in sync, and I wouldn't rule out Juju as the best receiver in Kansas. For the Panthers, we have running back Dontae Foreman. With Christian McCaffrey out of the equation, Chuba Hubbard and Foreman had to fill in. With the first one injured, Foreman showcased his talent on his first start with 3 touchdowns, and he's been making his case as the new RB1 in Carolina. On to the Niners we go, with Talanoa Hufanga. I really don't know why he doesn't get more credit. Not only does he look like legend Troy Polamalu, but he's been also training with him, and his game has been amazing this season. He's insanely talented and easily one of the smartest safeties in the entire league. And now we move on to Danny Dimes, Danny Wheels, however you might call him. Anyways, it looks like Brian the Ball has done it once again, this time over in New York. But wait a second, the last time around was also in New York. Doesn't matter. People really don't realize how much Jones has improved this year, and it's honestly impressive how much his decision making has changed for the good. For the Seahawks, we have another quarterback in Geno Smith. When Wilson left, most of us expected the Hawks to do real bad, but Geno has shown a winner mentality, and stat-wise, he's placed himself into the top 10 easily. He might not be a Josh Allen, but he has what it takes to lead this team to the playoffs. Onto the Titans, we have the first lineman of this list in Ben Jones. Generally speaking, offensive linemen are hugely underrated, but I feel like Jones is one of the most underrated players playing in the trenches. Outside of Tennessee fans, not a lot of people know about him, and he's been playing really good for the Titans. For the Browns, we have receiver Donovan Peoples-Jones. Last year, he started to make a little bit of noise, but it was all shut down with the Amari Cooper trade. He's usually overshadowed by Cleveland's offensive weapons, which include Nick Chubb, Cooper, and David Njoku. The talent is there, and even though he isn't a top-tier wide receiver, he can get the job done. Up next, we have Josh Allen, the Jaguars one. Just the fact that he shares name with arguably the best player in the NFL isn't good. The expectations are incredibly high, and even when he does play good, he sometimes gets overlooked. Now even more than ever, due to the Jaguars getting Trevon Walker first overall in the draft. Allen plays good, but the attention just won't go his way. For the Patriots, we get running back Ramondre Stevenson. My fellow fantasy football managers might know why this guy's on this list despite not being officially the RB1 in New England. When Damian Harris went down, he filled in on a godlike way. Stevenson has been the heart and soul of this offense since, and I think he can end up having a bigger role than Harris in the nearby future. Then we get the Commanders with Jahan Dotson. The rookie out of Penn State was overlooked by draft analysts back in April, but when he got drafted round 1, the expectations were high. He's been playing great ball, yet due to the success of Olave, Wilson, and other rookie receivers, Dotson hasn't been getting the attention he deserves. playoffs. For the Jets, we get another receiver in Corey Davis. This guy has been underrated for the most part of his career, and when you've got Zach Wilson throwing at you and rookie Garrett Wilson lining up alongside, you'll probably go unnoticed. Oh, and don't forget all the drama with Elijah Moore. Moving on, we have the Colts with Kwity Paye. The 2021 first rounder showed some flashes of potential last year, and in 2022, he's been playing on another level, being on pace to double his sack count this year. He hasn't lived up to the expectations just yet, but the media won't give him any credit for his development whatsoever. Up next, we have the Raiders, who got my guy Josh Jacobs. After a somewhat disappointing start to his career, the Raiders declined his 5th-year option, and oh boy has he shown his value to the team. He's been having his best season so far in 2022, being top 5 in rushing yards as of now. Still, there are a lot of people doubting him, some of them even within the Raiders organization. Coming up next with the Detroit Lions, we have DeAndre Swift. He started 2022 as a top 5 running back easy, averaging 10 yards per carry at one point. The guy has some undeniable talent, but unfortunately he got injured, and that's where he became the most underrated. Thankfully though, he is right back in the field. We move on to the Dolphins. All the concussion stuff definitely turned some eyes towards Tua Tagovailoa, but probably not in the way he would have liked. This guy is talented. He's literally leading his top 2 receivers towards a historic season. Love him or hate him, Tua has been proving the haters wrong this year. Up next, we have the Rams. Being traded away from Seattle got quite a lot of attention to superstar Bobby Wagner, and honestly, I don't know why people seem to ignore his production. His numbers this year are clearly above average, and this is while being on a team suffering from a very strong Super Bowl hangover. Now for the Packers, we have Devondre Campbell. I don't know about you guys, but I feel he hasn't been talked about enough. Apart from his pick 6 against the Commanders, he's been under the radar because he's been doing the dirty work for the Packers, being on pace to easily surpass 100 tackles. Up next, we have the Broncos. When you draft an Alabama player, you're expecting greatness, and well, Patrick Surtain has delivered. At the moment of me making this video, he hasn't allowed a single touchdown while being top 15 in pass breakups and top 10 in yards per catch allowed. My guy's been balling, and I want to make a case for him being top 5 in the NFL, maybe even top 3 this season. Up next are the Saints with Demario Davis. The league veteran has been playing great ball ever since he joined the league back in 2012. While in New Orleans, he's had over 100 tackles every single season and at least 3 sacks. Yet, analysts and the media won't usually credit him, which is honestly sad for him. For them boys, I'm picking receiver Noah Brown. Having CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and James Washington lining up alongside might get some attention off of you. Brown had a great connection with Cooper Rush back when he was the quarterback, and despite not being a top-tier player, he's certainly better than most people think. With Dak under center, however, his production has seemed to decline. For the Vikings, we have non-primetime Kirk Cousins. The dude has top 10 stats consistently year after year, yet fans and analysts will usually rank him below the top 15. As of right now, he's led the Vikings to an 8-1 record while having complete control of the NFC North. Don't underestimate what Cousins can do when he isn't playing on Monday night. On to the Cardinals, where I'm picking Zach Ertz. If you're not a Cardinals fan or a regular fantasy player, you probably forgot about him to a certain extent. The thing here is, before suffering a season-ending injury, Ertz was putting up some great numbers, being arguably one of the top 3 tight ends in the league, despite the media focusing more on some other guys. Up next for the Texans, we have rookie Dameon Pierce. This guy runs with power, and he's statistically one of the best running backs in the league already. I understand why he doesn't get a lot of attention just yet. I mean, he's a rookie, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Pierce in the top 5 conversation in the foreseeable future. Moving on, we have the Bears with Darnell Mooney. Since Allen Robinson left, I was expecting Mooney to be the guy in Chicago, and to be fair, he's been really good, showcasing his abilities on a regular basis. However, the Bears' offensive scheme doesn't allow him to have the flashy stats other wide receivers do, and that's really why I think he's the most underrated player over in Chicago. Oh, and all that without mentioning the Chase Claypool trade. Moving on, we have the Buccaneers. Leonard Fournette was a beast for the Jaguars, but when he got to Tampa, he didn't seem to be the same anymore. People somehow forgot about him, but he's been slowly but surely increasing his production. He might not be the same as before, but fans sometimes forget what this guy is capable of. And last but definitely not least are the Bengals. Having Joe Burrow as your quarterback might get you a lot of attention, right? Well, not if your name is Tyler Boyd. Apart from being lined up alongside Jamar Chase, most NFL fans consistently rank T. Higgins above him as well. This is despite despite them both having insanely close stats as of right now. I really think Boyd deserves some more credit for his role in this offense. Anyways, that's gotta be all for this video. If you want to check out who the best player in your favorite team is right now, make sure to watch this video next. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.